We have some very exciting news to announce that today we have started a new no shoes policy with the Department, the Transportation Security Administration. TSA will no longer require travelers to remove their shoes when they go through our security checkpoints. This is something that I know for quite some time people have talked about and discussed, and we know that when President Trump was elected that he pledged to make life better for all Americans, and that includes those who are travelers going through our busy airports. We want to improve this travel experience, but while maintaining safety standards and making sure that we are keeping people safe as they go to take their vacations, travel for work, or spend time with their families. So we took a hard look at how TSA does its business, how it does its screening processes, and what we do to make people safe, but also provide some hospitality as well. Now, this is especially important to streamline the process and look at efficiencies that we can build in as we build up for some big events that are going to be coming here in the next 12 months here in the United States of America. As you all know, right now we have the club championships going on. A lot of travelers and visitors are coming into the country, but next year we will also have the Olympics that will be in the United States of America. The World Cup matches will be happening, as well as many America 250 events. All of those will bring us record travelers to the United States. Many people will be on airlines traveling in and out of our airports, and it's important that we find ways to keep people safe, but also streamline and make the process much more enjoyable for every single person. TSA first implemented the no shoes policy in 2006, almost 20 years ago. And in those 20 years, since that policy was put in place, our security technology has changed dramatically. It's evolved. TSA has changed. We have a multi-layered, whole of government approach now to security and to the environment that people anticipate and experience when they come into an airport that has been honed and it's been hardened. We are very confident that we can continue to provide hospitality to folks and for American travelers and for those visiting our country while maintaining the same standard of security for passengers and for our homeland. The key to our approach is layered security. Passengers will still pass through multiple layers of screening. They'll also go through identity verification, and in fact, TSA has recently experienced some fantastic success with implementing Real ID. As you know, Real ID was put into statute over 20 years ago, and we recently put that into place that it went seamlessly. In fact, right now we are experiencing over 94% compliance with passengers who come through our airports and screening processes with Real ID compliant identification. Now, as you know, most of those IDs, if they're driver's licenses, they'll have a star in the right-hand corner. They may use other federally recognized identifications such as passports or tribal IDs or military IDs. But many people thought that when Real ID was implemented that it would be difficult. It would, some in the mainstream media talked about it being Armageddon, that it wouldn't be able to happen, and it has happened seamlessly because of the hard work of those who work within TSA and because of our security officers who worked very hard to make sure that passengers were compliant, but to do it in a way that facilitated their traveler. So please, I'd encourage all Americans to still go out there if you don't have your Real ID yet. It does help us identify who you are and keep passengers safe. And we would encourage you to go so and to do that. Now we're just getting started. We've implemented several transformational changes at TSA and our security checkpoints already just since the Trump administration has come into office. We have recently piloted different types of security lanes. We have family lane security checkpoints that are open at several airports that allow families to get screened separately from other people so that it can be very accommodating for them and their experience with children or small babies. We also have implemented around some of our air bases and facilities the ability to have a military lane that expedites the process for those who currently served in our armed services, those who are stepping up to defend our freedoms, that they can have a security checkpoint specifically dedicated to them and in those areas where we see high traffic volumes of those who serve. With this no shoes policy, we anticipate that Americans and travelers and those coming into our country will be very excited that they will no longer have to remove their shoes. The one thing that I will say is that doesn't mean that there won't be times once in a while where someone will have to remove their shoes. If they get put into a different situation or need additional layers of screening where that may be asked of them. But overwhelmingly, the policy will be that no longer will that be required of every single person that comes to a checkpoint. The golden age of America is here. We're so excited that we can make the experience for those individuals traveling throughout our airports in the United States much more hospitable, more efficient for them, more timely, and that they can get to their destinations and spend much more time with their loved ones and with their families and with those accomplishing great things for their future. So with that, I will open it up to any questions that any of you may have. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks so much, Ellen from Bloomberg. Can you say whether travelers who don't have real IDs will have to take off their shoes?
Yeah, that is not going to be specifically required for individuals who don't have real IDs. They still won't have to take off their shoes. If they do get flagged for a different reason or need additional screening, that may be required of them, but they won't be specifically identified as someone who has to remove their shoes. I do want to introduce behind me too as well, we have some fantastic TSA officers behind us, some employees working with TSA, and then also we have Ha and Adam who have been here working in leadership in TSA. I've been so grateful for them in their out-of-the-box thinking at how we implement reforms and make this experience much more available for those individuals who are traveling through our airports. I'll come to you next.
Good afternoon, Secretary Nicole Johnson from Reuters.
Yes.
Question, what recent changes to security equipment or threats data has offered you the assurance to make this change?
We've gone back and looked at our security processes, looked at the efficacy of everything that we do, every screening process that we have to see what results it is giving us, what information it is giving us about travelers, and then our technologies, if it's giving us the information we need as far as the screening of individuals, whether it's magnetometers or whether it is processes where they're being identified by a TSO. So all of that has been evaluated to see what is affected, what should stay in place, and what should be removed to streamline the process. Yes.
Hello. Roberto Macedonio for NTN 24. Ms. Secretary, I would like to ask you about President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro. He sent a letter to Donald Trump retracting his accusations about the U.S. government was doing a coup d'etat in Colombia. Do you have any opinion?
That the president was doing what in Colombia?
He was conspiring against the Colombian government to take them off of the power. This is what President Petro said about Marco Rubio. He sent a letter to Donald Trump retracting himself after these accusations. What do you think about that Petro did?
Well, I won't speak to that today since we want to focus on American security here at our airports today. But I know that President Trump is working very hard to build relationships with all countries in order to make sure that we are returning their citizens back home that may be in our country illegally committing crimes. We've had conversations on security agreements with Colombia, and I know that also trade negotiations have been ongoing with the country as well, and we're hoping for a better relationship there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Madam Secretary. Luke Barr with ABC News. Can you talk a little bit about what the next steps are, what the timeline looks like, when this will be implemented, and then why now? What is the reasoning for this policy to be put in place now? And then I have an off-topic question.
Well, as soon as President Trump came into office, he encouraged all of us as cabinet secretaries to evaluate every agency and department, see what we can do to save taxpayers money, keep more money in their pockets, to give them more opportunities to enjoy their freedoms and liberties, to keep them safe. And certainly that is my job as Homeland Security Secretary, is to evaluate everything that we do and make sure that we're protecting American citizens here in our homeland. So in working with TSA, we've gone back and evaluated all of our security screening processes and looked at how effective they've been, if they've yielded the results that we want, what kind of technologies can we implement that will keep people safer. I'm excited about the fact that we have the big, beautiful bill that has been signed and put into law. That'll give us resources that we can continue to invest in new technologies. That gave us the opportunity to focus on exit lanes. We can implement technologies there, new screening processes that will help us screen your bags faster, make sure that when we're going through checkout lanes and security lanes that we have the ability to scan individuals. Potentially, if people choose to opt in, use biometrics to identify people quicker so that they have the ability to go through much more in a streamlined fashion. So all of those resources will be plugged into making this a much more efficient, safe, and I would say advanced security system than we've ever had before. But that is, I think, the key to all of government under President Trump's administration is that we evaluate everything that we do and make sure that it is something that is best serving the American people. And that's one of the reasons that you see this policy being implemented today. Yes.
Hi, Sarah Plouse with CBS News.
Yeah.
A little bit of a two-part question for you.
Sure.
Is this an immediate nationwide rollout starting
Yes.
today?
Yes.
And then do you feel like immediately you have every airport nationwide has the capability to stop, you know, a shoe bomb or whatever it might be right now from making it through security?
We've gone back and evaluated this process and how we screen individuals and looked at the efficacy of it and making sure that everything that we do matters. And if it is something that is beneficial, that helps us in the screening process, we will continue to do it. So there will be individuals at times that will be asked to remove their shoes. If we think there is additional layers of screening that is necessary, that may still happen to an individual. But we are excited with the fact that we have the technology now, that we have the multi-layers of screening in place that we've built in over the recent several years that give us the ability to allow our travelers to keep their shoes on. Yes.
Hi, I'm Pavan from Politico. The Supreme Court ruled this afternoon to allow President Trump to move forward with mass firings of federal workers. Will the TSA move forward with a reduction in force, and what could that look like and when?
We'll continue to evaluate the decisions out of the Supreme Court, but as always, we comply with court requirements and federal court decisions. Yes.
Hi, Alexandra Scores, CNN.
Yes.
I'm wondering if this shoe removal policy was that some level of security theater? You know, why did we do it all these years?
Everything that TSA does and requires of travelers has always been necessary, but they have advanced over the years. Since the no shoes policy went into place in 2006, we have made advancements in how we screen individuals. As you've gone and traveled through airports, I'm sure you've recognized it as well. We've added new scanners, new technologies, more TSO officers in some areas. If the Real ID compliance allows us another layer of security, knowing who's going through our checkpoints and who isn't, you'll still see dogs being used to be able to check different bags and individuals as they go through. So all of those processes give us the ability to allow travelers now to keep their shoes on. Yes, follow up.
And so, knowing that, does this new implementation lessen the value of pre-check, and will we see decreases in prices maybe?
I believe pre-check will still be something that many travelers will want to utilize, because when they have TSA pre-check, they won't have to take off their belt or their coat or remove things out of their bag such as laptops or compliant liquids. So TSA PreCheck still adds a value to those travelers. What we're implementing here today for every single traveler is just that they get the chance to keep their shoes on, which I think they'll be thrilled about. Yes.
Hi, this is Marta Garde from FNU Services. Mr. President said today that you are not going to need so much border funding because no migrants came into the border last month. How much do you think that you can save, and how are you planning to spend those savings?
Yes, we are continuing to look at the dollars that were appropriated to the Department of Homeland Security through the Big Beautiful Bill. And the border wall still needs to be finished as far as infrastructure. And also, when the last border wall was built during the first Trump administration, the structure was completed, but the technology around it was not fully implemented. So we still need to deploy a lot of the surveillance, the cameras, and the ability to have the kind of security system in place around the wall to make sure that we truly have a secure border far into the future. So we'll evaluate that, and absolutely the President is encouraging everyone to not just look at the dollars that were appropriated, but how can we save as much as possible that doesn't need to be spent and be accountable to the taxpayers. Other questions? Yes.
Each airport has different equipment with varying capabilities. How will you be sure that every airport in the U.S. has the necessary technology it needs?
We've evaluated the equipment that every airport has and are fully confident at the no shoes policy that we still have the security needs in place at every single checkpoint. I think you'll be excited to hear, though, that we have the ability now to implement even more technologies. And we will be piloting several different security checkpoints across the nation at different airports that will allow individuals to come in through a security checkpoint and maybe not even have to interact with officers at all, walk through machines, keep their bag with them, not remove laptops. All of those are technologies that we're exploring right now that we could put into place. And I think over the next 6 to 9 months, you will see across the country pilot lanes and security checkpoints that will give us even more advancements and make this security process much more streamlined for the traveler. Yes.
With the new technology you're talking about, is there any plan to take a look at the liquid rules or any other rules like that?
I would say that every rule is being evaluated. All of you have traveled, and all of you know that sometimes the checkpoints can be cumbersome and unpredictable based on what the situation is there. And so with removing your technology, the liquids, your belts, your coats, your shoes, all of them are being evaluated and looked at, but it can only be accomplished if we have the adequate technology to make sure we're doing this safely and still keeping our systems hardened against those who would wish to perpetuate criminal activity against our airlines or those who would travel in our airways. So we'll continue to look at them, but no announcements made in those areas today.